an image to have in mind in terms of how we deal with others and how we build teams. So I think it's a great visual for today, Ed.
Okay, and then we're going to leave it. We're talking with Ken Lloyd, Ph.D. He's a longtime leader in industry at very top levels, connected with HR, of course, talent development, talent communications, talent retention. And this is his most current book, just out, Performance Appraisals and Phrases for Dummies, uh, published by the Wiley brand. And this is the number 2 in the series, Ken. Number 1 came out, what, about 15 years ago, if I remember right?
Yeah, it's 15 years already. Time flies, but yeah, that's the date. So been a
So,
lot. Go ahead.
well, I was going to just say this image behind me. I'm going to go under the bridge here and get out of the way. But this is a real live picture that I took many years ago when Joanne and I were in Porto, Portugal, which is in the north. And this is over the Douro River. The Douro River goes out to the Atlantic, and inland. It flows through the beautiful agricultural area full of vineyards and related veggies, and just a beautiful area. Portugal, as you know, is along the Atlantic Ocean, west of Spain, and on the Iberian Peninsula. It's a great word. And this is a warm weather area, sort of reminds me of Southern California. Um, and just below, it gets a lot warmer, uh, and going south towards Lisbon, and then south of that becomes a wonderful tourist area because it's uh, very much Southern California kind of weather, even in winter. So the Brits in particular, and others in Northern Europe, flock there for getaway and sun. Uh, it's a beautiful area, and the wine is scrumptious. Port is different from regular wine because of the way they make it ferment longer or whatever, and so it's a little bit stronger. And we did all the wine tasting we could in that time. And the bridge is this fabulous bridge. You see, it's a walkway on the top. If you can see the top, zoom in on the people there. And there's also trams that go across, and cars are on a lower level. And fabulous bridge. The theme is crossing over the bridge, getting people to grow, helping them, enabling them, coaching them, mentoring. Uh, what other word comes to mind, Ken?
Oh, it's collaborating, it's
Uh,
developing, it's training, it's listening, it's learning from them, it's helping them learn. As you said, coaching is a key part of it. But you can see the two-way aspect of it. And it's really not just a one way, one directional bunch of information being pushed on an employee seemingly in a random way. It's very different from that. Ongoing communication, as it's called, continuous feedback, which is regular meetings with employees and members of their team. So it's more focused on the future. You know, when we're crossing the bridge, we're going forward, and we're not going across it backwards, and we're not avoiding the bridge. So that ties in. Visual, as I say, is so compelling. That's really a key part of it as well.
Thank you. Okay, so looking at the book here for a minute, this is Ken's book. Bring it right up there. I'm going to put the image up on the screen in just a few minutes so you could see it, talking to the audience out there. And I'm looking inside on in the early pages here. I'm on page X, and is chapter 5 or 6. I can't read that; it's too small. chapter 6, the best phrases for collaboration, communication, and interpersonal skills. And then you have on different pages like collaboration, and then cooperation, customer service, listening in meetings, when negotiating, persuasiveness, sales skills, teamwork, telephone skills, written and verbal. This is fabulous. This is like a how-to book, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. And the idea with the dummies books is to make it readable, hands-on, non-theoretical, but something that people can actually use in carrying out whatever the specific focus of the book might be. So it's not from 30,000 feet. It will get you up at 30,000, then we'll land and get right down to here's how to do it. Here's some real steps and strategies and real key ways to implement what's being focused on.
Okay, so here we go. This is the book cover. I'm going to bring it up on a big screen. It's my screen, so this is going to be, so this is an integrated camera, and so I'm going to switch it to speaker focus, so it's only going to be on me and the cover when I'm speaking, and then when Ken speaks, it's going to be on his blurry background. Okay, so now I'm speaking to you, and you see that's the book cover. Looks great on the big screen, doesn't it? Okay, so on page X, right up on top, the first two is number one, collaboration, and right underneath that is cooperation, and then customer service. So how is it different? What's the difference in your view between, in this regard, the difference between cooperation and collaboration, Ken?
Yeah, I think obviously they're overlap. That's why they're bunched in the same overall area. But collaboration is really a willingness to dig in, work with others, create, listen, build jointly, and be actively part of the entity. Cooperation is in a broader sense, getting along with others, cooperating. Yes, I'll help you. Collaboration takes that cooperation to a deeper level, but both are very important. And to see the two of them working together in an entity really helps to build teamwork, individual effectiveness, as well as the effectiveness of the group itself.
Very interesting. So you have different categories of appraisal, because that's the key of this book is all these different things, and then how do you look at it? How do you measure?
Really, yeah, I mean, it's called appraisals, but really performance appraisals, unlike 15 years ago, are far more forward focused as well. So it is providing people, employees with feedback on their work in a constructive and supportive way, using whatever feedback is needed to either recognize the excellence in performance, as well as to provide some guidance and training and upskilling in areas where performance perhaps didn't meet the mark. And it's not done 6 months after the behavior in question, but rather it's tied far more closely to the individual's performance, timing wise. You have continuous feedback, which is at least every couple of weeks formally getting together, as well as more frequent formal appraisals, no longer just an annual, but either biannual or even quarterly. So we've taken the mystery out of it, the angst, the anxiety, and replaced it with open communication and with a forward and coaching oriented kind of focus.
So when you're conducting these kinds of meetings, it could be like we're doing this on Zoom, or it could be one-on-one, right on face-to-face.
Sure.
Yeah. Uh, but not, I mean, this kind of stuff is pretty sensitive, so I would imagine you wouldn't do this in a group setting.
Oh, no. Performance appraisal, by definition, is one on one. If we're talking about Group performance, that's a whole different things, typically related to a particular project. Hey team, we've worked on the XYZ project. Let's all get together and see where we are, as opposed to a performance appraisal, which is one-on-one, working with the individual employees on one-on-one with them regarding their performance, the goals that have been jointly set, and how are we doing in terms of benchmarks and goal attainment, and looking toward the future in terms of individual and professional development and performance kinds of goals.
So this is really, and I'm not really politicalizing this conversation at all, but today's headlines and recent headlines with the Doge thing going on in government and people getting emails or notes saying you're fired for poor performance. This is the exact opposite. You're not wasting talent, you're cultivating talent.
Yeah, I mean, we all want organizations to be efficient. And if there are inefficiencies for whatever reason, we want to analyze, identify, look and see what's going on in a deep, clear, fair way. And if jobs can be changed or people can be moved out of necessity because of ways of increasing efficiency, effectiveness, and making it valuable for the employee, that's very different from just a wholesale, yeah, let's just close this department. Let's take a look, let's see what's going on. What can we be doing to make this, help this team work more effectively without terminating anybody? So sometimes it's just a matter of our leadership and the management styles that are being utilized. So to come in wholesale is a pretty questionable act in most cases.
Okay, thank you very much for doing this deep dive. Audience, I want to tell you this is unrehearsed. You may have guessed, but we have a star witness here who wrote the book twice and has 18 years of top executive experience doing it. So when you listen, you're looking like you're listening to me. So you're looking at me, you're looking at eye contact, you're looking at what you see, what you feel, uh, not just does this person get an A or B or C or what. So you're listening hard and weighing different things that you're feeling and seeing.
Sure, as in the performance appraisal process, you're listening, you're observing, you're collaborating, you're communicating with your employees on a regular basis. You're actively listening, which means you're not just thinking about what you're going to say when they stop talking, but you're really engaged with them and trying to understand. If you're not clear, to rephrase what they're saying to make sure that you do understand. But none of that just is all spur of the moment in a performance appraisal. Rather, there's a lot of data gathering and analysis before providing employees with feedback so that we really understand what they've been doing, how they've been doing. We're not pulling stuff out of thin air, stuff from months ago, but it's focused on real, actual, timely behaviors and performance. And it is not evaluating or providing feedback on personality. That's completely different and absolutely unacceptable. Performance, not personality. You're not going to say, I really think you're just lazy, you're just not, that's going nowhere other than to an argument, probably to termination or turnover, voluntary or not. If you think an employee is lazy, let's talk about that in performance terms. Gee, you and I had agreed, we've been working together and this was the deadline on this project. Tell me what happened here so we can help to work that this doesn't happen in the future. That type of a thing, performance.
I'm now on page 153 in chapter 7, the best phrases for creative thinking. So after doing this kind of work for years, you have a script, but you're so practiced you don't need to read the script. You just know what it is and you express. I'm guessing here, but what I'm feeling here is that you would have so much experience in doing this over the years that you know what you don't want to see, and when you see something good, that's a gold nugget, if you will. That's the goal, is to zero in on something really good that that person has been able to do, and then expand that, whatever that attitude was, or creative thinking on that person's part, to expand that to do more, to grow and to develop more.
Sure, but it's not really so much a script, because that almost sounds like you're going to come in and read something or follow some canned presentation, but rather coming in with a mindset of understanding your employees as individuals, knowing them, having worked with them, and built trust with them, so we can really talk about their work, and importantly, particularly for today's younger members of the workforce, about their future, about how we can proceed in terms of developing a career, what kinds of additional training, education, upskilling might be needed. So again, that future and forward focus is what's really helpful. Looking specifically at creativity, there are so many positives to that we really want our team members to show creativity, even if they're coming in with ideas that we can't use. We want them to know that we value their inputs, we're listening to them, and any of those that we can jointly either work on, build, put together to make something stronger, or implement right on the spot, we want to know it. That ties in part of, I know, an area you're interested in, Ed, of psychological safety, where we encourage the employees to come out with ideas. Maybe I've got a creative idea that just does not work. It's been tried 10 times, but my next idea might be really good. I want to encourage the employees, hey, let's talk about that one. Let's shape it if we can, but keep coming up with new thoughts and ideas. That's how we're going to be a more effective organization. That's how you're going to build yourself in your own career. So we really want to encourage that, not say, no, we don't do it that way. We've never done it that way. If you look at what we've done in the past, we want you to stick with that. That's the type of thinking we really want to avoid. And that is very unsafe type of thinking. And it's really no place to help in organizations that truly want to be successful in the broadest sense of the word.
So here on, I know you can't see it too well with this camera, but on page 153, and which again is chapter 7, the best phrases for creative thinking. I really like how this is organized. Right up on the top, the lead-in theme headlines. Providing feedback to enhance creative thinking, helping to foster a climate. Foster means create a climate or build.
Yeah, build, enhance, strengthen. Yeah.
To support innovation and creative problem solving, which means to get people out of a habit.
Absolutely. Get out of yesterday's thinking. Yeah, be willing to not only look at problems and issues in a new light, but to feel free to express your thoughts about that as well. So we're not
and be
trying to
safe, huh?
solve the old things the old way.
Yeah, and be psychologically safe.
And total safety in doing that. That's that whole climate of trust and respect and openness and fairness.
I'd like to work for you. I
With.
think that would be great.
I like to work with you.
With you, yeah, that's it. Breaking down the barriers and blockages that interfere with creativity. So that's what we've just been saying.
Right.
Yeah. Well, this is great. So, audience, we didn't start out thinking that this talk show would be doing this today, but I'm really glad I did. And and Ken, I really appreciate you. Okay, so now let's I put the book aside, but it's right there if you want to get back into it. What is going on in the in the business world today, where I was reading this morning in Axios that some CEOs, big time CEOs, like the CEO of the bank, Chase, about ranting and raving, actually, to employees to get back into the office. This is where you work, not at home. Uh, Most of the time, if not. I don't think he's saying 100%, but most of the time. This is the team. You don't work alone. You work as part of a team, and you can't do it all the time remotely. It makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is it's certainly varying by position, of course, and job level, the value of being in the workplace versus working remotely. And we know employees get a great amount of work done remotely. Their productivity is in many cases up. They're not wasting time commuting back and forth to work. They're not experiencing the stress and frustration of sitting in traffic. They're saving money on gasoline, wear and tear on their cars, and they're actually not taking the 2 hour lunch. They're not as interrupted as much. There are a lot of real benefits to working remotely. And by the same token, there's some real advantages. That face-to-face encounter at work, the spontaneous meetings that drop in so we can talk about something. Face-to-face communications are more, well, valid and effective than certainly more than a phone call. And while this is extremely valuable, being able to look at each other and see expressions and gestures and so forth, face-to-face is even more compelling. So there are strong reasons to do it. And that's where at least some kind of hybrid arrangement, when possible, is more than likely going to be the way that many, many companies go. Yeah, some are going to say everybody in all the time. And if that's the climate and culture and what's needed in the organization, and that's the reality of it, then employees have to look, okay, let me see how this matches with my career objectives and what I seek in a job. And there could be others that go remotely X percentage of the time. So we want that balance. I don't think it's great or healthy to have employees coming in that really don't want to be there.
Mm.
What's that going to do for their attitude, for their performance, for their productivity? So we try to seek a balance, and we want to make it worthwhile psychologically as well as in other ways for employees to be there on a regular basis if that's what we want. If we want them here all the time, what are we going to do to really make sure the employees sense and experience real value by that approach? No one size fits all answer to this. I mean, some positions you can't do remotely. If you're part of the custodial team, you maintain the facility, can't do it offsite. You just can't.
Yeah, right,
Other
right.
positions, obviously, the whole thing can be done remotely. So then we want to look at that. We want to look at the job, look at the people, look at what our organizational needs are, and to be fair.
And the person is a person, it's a life coming to work. And working remotely enables, especially if it's a young family situation, loving care and being there and not gone somewhere for 8 hours.
Yeah, but if you have a job and that's what the job requires, there are plenty of families that work out ways, whether through daycare or additional help or other family members, to deal with that, or maybe go down to one spouse working and the other one not, because when you're working remotely, you're really supposed to be working. That doesn't mean working remotely is, oh, I get these days to take care of my family. Yeah, you're in your home work site. So yeah, can some of that creep in, or maybe have a bite of lunch with a spouse or a family member or a child? Sure, but it's not taking off those days. Those are work days. You're just working in a different spot.
Let me ask you an off-the-wall question, audience. Again, this is unrehearsed and unplanned. So, and this is not a gotcha thing, but uh, you know, not just me, but others have had the idea that companies that have empty office space, in other words, they have a contract to pay rent on a lot of space that is not being used now. Why not turn that extra space or some of it into a daycare center? And having a school, legitimate educational school for kids. Uh, if maybe if it's a one-room schoolhouse kind of a deal with teachers who know what to do in that kind of situation, and use that opportunity to bring particularly women into the business center.
Well, there are companies that have daycare centers for the younger children, and some universities have that as well. And it's very effective. It's very helpful for all members of the staff, whether for the males or the females, just to have that opportunity and that option available. That actually can be a real plus in recruiting. And we also have daycare for children aged all the way out to the youngest. I mean, it can be 3 and 4 month olds all the way up to preschoolers that they'll have. In terms of having an actual school, that's a little different, because then you're really talking about all sorts of other academic and educational requirements and standards. And is that really the best educational experience for a child to be working at the company where a parent works? But daycare for the little ones, companies are doing it very successfully, very effectively. And parents that have their little ones there have, by and large, what I've been reading and experiencing, are quite satisfied with that. So that's definitely going on. It's just a nice add-on. Some of the companies, they're in such demand that you have to really sign up. It's almost like a lottery to get your little one into it. But that is where we're going.
Right.
So that and these are the companies that will also have remote opportunities. But on the days that you come in, if you have a young child, we have a daycare arrangement set up. So those are real positive steps, modern steps for companies to take these days.
So, Ken, you've been on many of our programs. I really appreciate you doing that and being involved in the Global Press Club as well. Thank you very much. But I want to get feedback from you as we come to a close here in the next few minutes about what you could tell me, have me think about being different or a better broadcast host on a program that is focused on business things, but from a very human point of view. And I'm listening.
There are times when I will work with team members and say, what you've been doing has been really excellent. And the only feedback that I can give you is to keep it up, keep doing what you're doing. You've set some great goals. If you want to talk about some additional goals going forward, but frankly, Ed, I would say that to you. I think you are very engaging. You listen very well. You make people feel comfortable. You don't attack them. And not that it's all pablum. And if you do disagree, you're very respectful to the people that you're dealing with. And you make it very heartwarming for people to be here. And you've created an environment that's entertaining, and it is, because you got a great personality, it comes through, but it's also educational, and you're able to draw out educational points from your guests. So Ed, I think you do a great job here. If you think you've got a great program, I certainly enjoy being on it and working with you, and certainly you've attracted, and I think that's a key point. Look at the folks you've attracted to it, some of these truly brilliant people in various fields from around, not just around the country, around the globe. I've been on your sessions, or people, from Germany, from Austria, and South America, and Ireland, all over the US. And I think that's a tribute. I think that's the kind of information you can take. Okay, this is working. And I'm just going to try to keep building on the style, the comfort level that you've created here, and the effectiveness. So my feedback to you is keep up the good work. And that's it. I'd like to say, hey, if you would do this or that with the background. No, the backgrounds are great. We were just talking on the bridge you had up there before putting up the book. Those are great icebreakers. As we said, that bridge is not just a bridge. All of a sudden, it ties in with your career. It ties in with communicating and building with people. So, in other words, the feedback is just supportive. It's in the form of recognition, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Come back again. All right.
See what I mean?
Have a good weekend.
Hey, thanks, Emil. You do the same. Always great to see you. Thanks
Thank you.
again.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take care.